Mike Locksley is cooking in the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day, and also doing work at InsideBlackandGold.net. So make sure you guys head over to InsideBlackandGold.net for all your latest Terps news. And today's episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Maryland football and Mike Locksley are absolutely cooking, I think, in the portal, and added in some much-needed guys that will be very, very vital for the Terps to be a good to decent football team next year. I was saying it the last couple of weeks, I thought this roster looked bad, to be honest, and maybe other teams feel like this. Maybe other coaches feel like this until you kind of get your influx of portal players, until you use the portals, and until you get some of those guys, the roster can look a little bit bleak. But I felt like Maryland football's roster looked extra bleak. It looked extra bad, for lack of a better word. I just didn't think it looked good before we got some of these guys in the portal. And I'm not here to say that we're an elite team in the Big Ten or we're really good, but I feel a lot better about our roster today after all these portal ads that Mike Locksley added to our team. I feel a lot better today sitting here on a Tuesday on a Christmas Eve than I felt a week ago when I was looking at the roster and I was saying, I don't know what we're waiting on. I don't know if we're about to get a bunch of guys from the portal. I don't know what the case is, but this team right now isn't good enough. We're losing way too many guys and we're not adding in any guys, but clearly Mike Locksley's been working on multiple players and I feel a lot better, like 100 times better now. And I honestly think Mike Locksley did a pretty good job of starting to get this team back to where it needs to be and using the portal. And I honestly think, like I said at the beginning, I think Mike Locksley is cooking a little bit in the portal. He added a player just about in all position groups, different position groups that we needed. And that's what we need. I wouldn't say there's like a guy that I would say is like a star, but it's a bunch of good guys that are going to help us. And I think there's some really good players in this group. And I think each of them are going to bring value to this team. And I think really help complete Maryland's roster and really help us be a lot better than what we were before and what I kind of saw for us before. I'm going to start with the receiving core. I feel a lot better about our receiving core now. I think we have a more complete room with the ads of with Caleb Webb, which I covered a couple weeks ago. But we also got a huge ad from Jaleel Farouk from Oklahoma, which I think is an absolutely humongous ad by Mike Locksley. And I feel a lot better about our receiver room now with Jaleel, with Farouk and Webb. I think we look a lot better. I didn't like our receiver room before. I thought we've done a really good job in the past of getting some high-level receivers like Caden Prather. We've also done a really good job of developing guys like Ty Felton. Those are just two guys from last year. Jaysean Jones, you can go back. There's been always good receivers. Dante Demas. There's just been good receivers. Rakeem Jarrett for Maryland football, and I thought it's been a strength of our team, but I thought right now we didn't have the personnel in-house currently with Octavian Smith, with Shalik Knotts, with Ryan Manning. I just don't see a guy right now that I'm like, I feel really good about him being like a receiver one or him being able to carry our receiver room. I just didn't feel like we had a guy. I thought Octavian Smith has shown flashes of being really good, but hasn't shown quite enough. I think Shalik Knotts has shown limited flashes, but not enough for me to feel good about our receiver room going into the year. And I think Mike Locksley cooked because he got one player in Caleb Webb, who I think has a really high ceiling. hasn't done a ton at Tennessee, but he's 6'3", 6'4", and he was a track guy, and he was a really high-level recruit, top 160 player in his class, according to On3, and he still has 2 years of eligibility, so I think he has a chance, even though he didn't play a ton at Tennessee. I think he still has a really high ceiling, and then with what he can do, we'll see how he can develop, and we know Mike Locksley's been good at developing receivers, so you got one guy that I think has really high upside that has potential to it didn't come out at Tennessee because he just didn't get the chance, where I think at Maryland it can, and then you got another Jaleel Farouk feels like a guy to me that is a guy that's just really talented and we know is going to be good because he's been good at Oklahoma across his 4 seasons where he made 25 starts and he's been productive at Oklahoma with 89 receptions for 1,287 yards and 7 touchdowns during his time with Oklahoma. He also returned kickoffs, but he was just injured in 2024. So I feel a lot better about Farouk because I feel like it's an established receiver. In 2023, he nearly had 700 yards, 45 receptions, 2 touchdowns. He was an honorable mention all Big Ten. So I feel really good about getting a guy like that. I feel like he's somewhat of a go-to guy, someone that can be a really good player in that receiver room. And then we match that with Caleb Webb and his size and what his talent, and hopefully he can reach that. But we still have guys we like a lot that we've recruited with Octavian and Ryan Manning and Shalik. So I feel a lot better about the receiver room now. And then I think, what have we all been saying? The offensive line has been terrible, and we add in a talented kid in Javen James from Akron that was a starter over there, appeared in all 12 games, started 9 games, earned a really high passing block efficiency, according to PFF, at a 98, which is really high, only allowing 10 pressures. So he was really good last year, and I think that was a big add on the offensive line. Redshirt sophomore, so still has 3 seasons of eligibility remaining. So he's a guy that could be a staple on our offensive line. So we addressed the line a little bit, and I like some of the young guys we have on the line. And then the corner room last year, the secondary, it was horrible, and we also lost a ton of guys in the secondary, and we get this kid, Dante Joyner, who's a defensive back at Arkansas State, who's really talented. Two interceptions and 9 passes defended. In 2024, had 50 tackles, had a team-high 7 pass breakups in 2024. And so he earned an 81 defensive grade on PFF, 3rd highest cornerback grade in the Sun Belt. He was an all Sun Belt type of player, and I think that really is going to help at the cornerback room. And he's really going to be another good add, I hope, has 2 seasons of eligibility. So we're getting guys that not only are good players, but I think are going to appear for a little bit for Maryland football, which I think is important. So he's going to really help the secondary. And we also got this kid, Jamar Glasgow from Wake Forest, who started 9 games last year for Wake Forest, who actually put together a really solid season. And he has 2 seasons of eligibility remaining, and he's a talented kid that was from Wake Forest. So we're getting guys not only in the corner room that are talented, but guys that have multiple years of experience. So while the guys like Braden Lee and Kevin Humes develop, we have some talented guys under them that can also start to we have some talented guys above them too, that we can have a more experienced room. We have a deeper room, and I feel a lot better already about our corner room. And then tight end, we lost all of our tight ends. We lost Preston and we lost Dylan Wade, which sucks. It does suck. Preston's off to Auburn. Dylan Wade's off to UCF, I think, with Brandon Jacobs. And so we add this kid in Dorian Fleming, which I thought was an absolute huge get. 2nd team All Sun Belt Conference. He was All Sun Belt 1st team offense. And hauled in 49 receptions, 558 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And I think he could be really good potentially in Mike Locksley's system, which I think could really help potentially a kid like Dorian Fleming, I think, being in Mike Locksley's offense. And he also has 3 seasons of eligibility. So when I look across the guys that we added, we added players that not only are going to help us this year, but really put us in a good spot in the next couple of years. And then we also added Ian Thomas, who's a redshirt sophomore, 6'4", 336 pounds, exactly what we need because we need guys to fill the middle with Tommy King-Basote and Jordan Phillips out. We need guys to be able to fill the middle, and this guy did that. He has 9 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, same college that Donnell Brown came from. So hopefully he can do a good job of coming in. He was named first team All-State and first team Del Val defense and second team Del Val offense when he played in high school. Just a little stat from him, but played in a 2024 37 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. So you add in players that have multiple years of eligibility besides the transfer from Oklahoma, the receiver that's originally a DMV kid. Besides him, besides Farouk, you add in guys with multiple years of eligibility, which I think is a big deal. And then we also had a quarterback. Stay tuned. I'll talk about that in the last segment today. But I think we did a really good job, and I think Mike Locksley cooked in the portal. I think we still have space to add a couple more guys, and I'm interested to see if we can add in maybe another offensive lineman, maybe another defensive lineman. I think that's kind of the main spots that I would look at. But I think Mike Locksley is doing a pretty good job addressing things that we need in the portal. Maryland basketball got a big win on Saturday. Let's talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about that next. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick a dub. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's thrilling. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Maryland basketball, a huge win for Maryland basketball on Saturday against Syracuse. And it's pretty clear that Maryland basketball is going to have a really good year. And I think there's no question about it that we're a tournament team and we should be a top 25 team. I'm going to give the argument tomorrow, so I don't want to talk about too much about us getting snubbed for being in the top 25. But let me tell you something. This Maryland basketball team has everything we need to win a Big Ten championship. And I think that showed itself on Saturday against Syracuse. I don't want to jump in the air too much because Syracuse isn't good this year. Straight up, they're not good. They're missing their best player. It's a big reason why I said on Friday's podcast, I said Maryland should have no trouble beating Syracuse. So I don't want to jump up and down. I don't want to get overly excited. I don't want to do too much about the Syracuse win, but beating a Syracuse team that's in the ACC by 27 points should count for something. And Maryland moves to 10-2 on the year. We have one more Mickey Mouse game against Eastern Shore on Saturday. Bang that out, and then we're into the real ones. We're into the ones that really count and ones that are going to be really important when building this March Madness resume. But let me say this. The Syracuse win showed me that Maryland has literally everything they need to win the Big Ten and make a run in March Madness. I questioned a little bit after our 4 kind of stars, I want to say, with Julian Reese, Queen, Gillespie. Those are kind of your main 3 that I felt really good about. And then I started to feel really good about Rodney Rice. I questioned after that, what kind of do we have? Do we have enough for this team? And I think we do. I think we have everything we need to win the Big Ten. And I watched Shelton Miguel go off on Saturday. And that shows me if Shelton Miguel's playing at the high level that he's been playing at, Maryland basketball is going to be scary. They're going to be scary because if he's able to play at that level with the way we know Queen's going to play, with the way we know Reese is going to play, with the way we know all those different guys are going to play, Maryland basketball is going to be scary. Celso Miguel looked like our best player against Syracuse, and if he plays like this, I just think you take on a new kind of level and a new ceiling as a team. That's why I said, I'm not exactly sure. I know we can be really good, but I'm not just exactly sure how good we can be. But if Celso Miguel is playing like he did against Syracuse, where he had 24 points, and also had 2 rebounds and 2 assists, had 2 steals as well with only 1 turnover. But the way he shot the ball, he went 6 of 9 from the 3-point line. If Celso Miguel's shooting the ball like that, 8 of 11 from the field, 2 of 2 from the field goal, from the free throw line, we're going to be a really good team if he's shooting 6 for 9 from the 3-point line and able to be a 20-point scorer. And that's what excites me the most about this Maryland basketball team. We have 5 guys in the lineup that legitimately anyone can go for 20. And that's something that we just didn't have. We had the opposite last year where we had one guy and nobody else that we could depend on. And this game against Syracuse proved to me that we are a balanced team. We have seen a different guy go off, it seems like, every single game. And I feel like college basketball, when you have that, when you have different guys that can go off, that's what wins in March. That's what wins in the tournament. It's not your star freshman. It's not having one really good guy. It's a balanced team with mostly veterans or guys that are in their second, third, fourth year. It's not a bunch of freshmen that are McDonald's All-American. It's not about that. It's about having balanced team, which we absolutely have. I think when you look at our lineup, it's like Queen's going to be the highlight of it just because of his future and him being a freshman and his NBA potential. But we have a lineup where literally anybody can go off. Like Julian Reese can go for 20 and 10 any night. Queen can go for 30 points any night. Celso Miguel, we just saw him go for 24 against Syracuse. Jacoby Gillespie, we've seen him go for 20 and 10. Rodney Rice, we saw him drop 30 earlier on in the season. And I think that's what makes this team really exciting. The fact that anybody can go off. And I think that's what makes us really good this year as well. And I think that we proved against Syracuse again. It'd be one thing if we were barely scraping by a Syracuse team. We beat this team by 27. Vegas had this projected as like a 14-point win for Maryland. We beat them by 27 points. It's not like, oh, we're barely beating them. Like we're beating them more than we should be beating them by. This is still an ACC team. I know they're not good, but they still have some guys. I also like how Tafara Gapari's been playing. He made a 3 in the game, 6 points. I thought he did a really good job, and I thought defensively we did a really good job against Syracuse. The fact that they scored only 60 points while we scored 87. Sometimes when you score a lot of points, even if you win the game by a good amount, the other team still ends up scoring it, but because just how the game flow goes. But I think it's just impressive. We're just a better shooting team this year overall. We shot 44% from 3. And you know what's crazy? Syracuse shot 50% from 3, and we beat them by 27. That's scary. They shot 100% from the free throw line. They didn't shoot that many free throws. They only shot 2, but they shot 50% from 3. Maryland football adds another quarterback to the room. We'll talk about that next. Have you ever wanted to go to a game at the last minute like a Maryland Terrapins game, but finding tickets is hard? I've been there before. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guaranteed, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Gametime Maryland football adds a big get to the quarterback room. We add another quarterback, which I think is really interesting, and I think it helps. We add the kid from UCLA, and it's an interesting dynamic with everything with Malik Washington and bringing in four-star Malik Washington. It definitely makes things interesting. Now, I'm going to talk about this later in another day too, and not stick it in at the back because I wanted to talk about all the portal ads in the front. I don't know how to feel about this ad because he hasn't done much at the college level. He came in as a really high level recruit to UCLA, was a four-star recruit, top 300 kid, a blue chip type of guy. I think a lot of people thought was going to be the next UCLA quarterback. But over the past couple seasons at UCLA, he hasn't really played very much. He got to start against Penn State and went 22 of 30 for 167 yards. So definitely nothing too special and a touchdown, but it is Penn State, to be fair, a tough team to be thrown into. But I thought Maryland was going to try and add someone more established, someone that has been there, someone that has played the quarterback position and played at college. Maybe someone that wasn't like amazing or like supremely talented. I didn't expect us to get like a top 5 recruit on the portal in terms of the quarterbacks. But I thought Maryland would try and add someone that has played a good amount, that is established, that we would feel good about. But that's not what we did. We went to get this kid from UCLA that was really that hasn't played a lot, but a lot of people thought he was going to be good because of his high school rating and these things. But I think the fact that he hasn't played for UCLA does make me question things a little bit. I definitely don't feel as good about where we stand and what we are in that quarterback room because I don't see us adding in anymore. I would guess I'm still waiting on this MJ Morris news. Does he decide to stick it out or does he decide to leave? I don't know. I think MJ Morris could be a good like leadoff starter, but I don't know if Justin Martin works as a leadoff starter and a guy that you just shortly hand it off to and give Malik Washington the job. I think it's Malik Washington's job eventually. I don't know when he gets it. I don't know if it's after, if it takes the full year and he doesn't get it until the beginning of his sophomore year, or somewhere his freshman year he gets it. Somewhere it tells me that Maryland's going to have a hiccup at the quarterback position and we're going to throw Malik in there and he's going to look too good and we're going to have to keep him in there. But I think with these 3 guys, I think you could look, and Malik Washington probably could look the best right away out of those guys. Now, the question is, do you want to throw him in there if our offensive line isn't good? If all these things aren't that good, then maybe not. Or if he's just not ready to go, and it might be good to have a kid like Justin Martin, but he hasn't played a ton. It's an interesting ad because of his status as a recruit, and you wonder, can he figure it out? Can he get things going a little bit? But as of now, he just hasn't played, and he has 2 years of eligibility. So I don't quite know how he fits here. I don't know quite how he's going to help us because I would have preferred somebody experienced that has played. He is talented. He has the size and the traits at 6'4", 220. But I'm not sure how he kind of works for us because he appeared in 5 games across 3 seasons at UCLA. And so it's just hard for me to think that he's going to really do something in this quarterback room. But maybe he surprised us. Maybe he just needed a chance. Maybe MJ Morris stays. If MJ Morris doesn't stay, I have no idea who the starter is going to be because this guy hasn't played a lot of it at college, and you have Malik Washington coming in. So I don't know how Mike Locksley will handle this. I don't love the ad. I really like some of the other portal ads. I don't love this ad because I feel like I wanted someone that played, even if he only had 1 more year of eligibility remaining. I think we lost Billy Edwards. I would prefer to have Billy Edwards, a guy that played a year, and that we can let him play and we know what we're going to get, rather than this guy. I have no idea what we're going to get, to be honest. I don't know what, like, the stat line against Penn State. I mean, it's Penn State. They're in the college football playoff. They're one of the best teams in the country, so I don't want to read too much into it, but it doesn't sound like he did a lot. So I don't know exactly how to feel about this ad. I think it's something that Michael Oxen wanted to add another quarterback, but there probably was limited options. So we'll see exactly what ends up happening with this ad. Was really talented in high school, so I do think that counts for something. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.